Daddy pushed Mommy to the floor. The dispatcher straightened in her chair. That wasn't the usual panic. That was terror. Cold, raw. Sweetheart, say that again. What's your name? I'm Anna, the little girl sobbed, breath hitching. And where are you? In the kitchen. There's glass everywhere. Mommy's not moving and Daddy's got blood on his shirt. The dispatcher typed furiously. Location ping, 1357 Willow Crest Avenue, Silver Pine, Missouri. She hit the priority override button. Anna, listen to me. Help is on the way. Is your dad still there? He's holding her hand. He keeps saying, I didn't mean to. But he yelled really loud. Mommy cried. Then the vase broke. Then she fell. The dispatcher blinked, heart beating faster. Okay, sweetie, don't hang up. Are you hurt? Number. But Mommy's face. Looks like when she sleeps after work. But scarier. In under 4 minutes, Silver Pine PD and EMS units flooded the street. The house was old. Bricks crumbling at the edges, porch light flickering like a dying firefly. The screen door creaked on its hinges. Officer Ramirez stepped inside first. His radio crackled in his ear. Dispatch. We have visual requesting backup. Situation appears domestic. One female unresponsive. The kitchen was chaos. Broken dishes, a streak of blood on the floor, a dazed man kneeling beside a motionless woman, and standing in the hallway, barefoot, with a pink stuffed unicorn in one hand and a cordless phone in the other. Anna, age 6. Marcus Reed barely noticed the officers. His voice trembled, repeating, I didn't mean to. I just tried to stop her from leaving. Sir, hands up. Step away from her, now. Marcus didn't argue. He lifted his palm slowly. Fast pale. Knuckles scratched. She slipped, he said. She tripped. I didn't push her. Oh. She hit the corner of the counter. A paramedic muttered as they examined Jasmine. Head trauma. Pupils unresponsive. Anna stepped forward, voice piercing the thick tension. She said he wasn't supposed to come back. Everyone turned. What do you mean, Anna? Officer Hughes crouched beside her. She said if he came, bad things would happen again. Anna looked at Marcus. You scared her. Marcus flinched. She called me. I didn't just show up. No, Anna whispered. I heard Mommy say she hoped you'd never find out. Ramirez raised an eyebrow. Find out what? Anna didn't answer. She just clutched her unicorn tighter and stared at Marcus like he was a stranger. 6 hours earlier, Marcus had landed at the small municipal airport outside Silver Pine. He hadn't told anyone, not his PR team, not his lawyer, not his assistant. He was chasing a memory, an itch he hadn't scratched in 7 years. Jasmine, she'd messaged him 3 words only. She deserves more. He read it at 1:08 a.m., mid-flight back from a tech conference. He didn't respond. Just changed course. Now, sitting in the back of a cruiser, cuffed and silent, Marcus replayed the scene in the kitchen over and over. She had told him to leave. He refused. He stepped forward. She grabbed a plate through it. It missed. Then she said it. You don't get to show up now and pretend to be a father. That's when the vase fell. She slipped. Her head hit the corner hard. He didn't push her, but he didn't catch her either. And now the world was burning. At Silver Pine Medical Center, Jasmine was in critical condition. Nurses moved quickly, but the attending physician frowned at the MRI scan. She's stable but unconscious. Subdural hematoma. We need to wait. Let the swelling reduce. Beside her bed, a small plastic bracelet read, Jasmine Taylor. Emergency contact. None. Outside the ICU window, Anna stood, watching her mother through the glass. Can I go in now? She asked a nurse. Not yet, sweetheart. Is she mad at me? I told on Daddy. No, honey. You did the right thing. Anna didn't speak. She just stared at her mother and whispered. She didn't want you to come back. At the precinct, Detective Harold Kane read through Marcus's file. Reed Systems founder. Father unknown. Grew up in foster care. No priors. First time he pops up on our radar. He's lying next to an unconscious black woman and a 6-year-old who calls him Dad. His partner, Detective Vasquez, frowned. She called him Dad? Twice, Kane said. And she said something else. Jasmine was afraid he'd come back. That implies history. But we've got no marriage license, no cohabitation, not even a photo of them together. Vasquez tapped the table. Unless she never told him. Or worse, Kane muttered. She tried and he ignored it. Back in the interview room, Marcus finally spoke. She never told me Anna was mine. Detective Kane didn't flinch. You expect us to believe you didn't know you had a kid for 6 years? She never contacted me. Never asked for help. Never said a word. Maybe she was scared. Marcus blinked. Of me? Kane leaned forward. She had bruises, Mr. Reed, old ones, small, faded. But they're there, maybe not from tonight. No, Marcus said, his voice sharpening. No, I never hit her. Never. Can you prove that? Silence. Then, quietly, Marcus said, I didn't even know I was a father. Kane stared at him. Then closed the file. DNA test is already underway. We'll see if your blood tells a different story. That night, Anna was moved to a temporary foster placement. The social worker, Mrs. Ellington, 62, smiled gently and buckled her in the back seat. Don't worry, Anna. This is just for a little while. Can I bring Mr. Unicorn? Of course. Anna stared out the window. He didn't mean to hurt her. But Mommy was crying. I've never seen her cry that loud. Mrs. Ellington nodded quietly, then said the words that Anna wouldn't forget. Sometimes adults break in ways kids can't fix, baby girl. But your truth, your voice that matters more than you know. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments where in the world are you watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Daddy slammed Mommy on the floor, and now she's not breathing. Your support helps us tell more stories that matter. And for the first time since the sirens came, Anna cried not from fear but from the heavy, unspoken truth in her small, brave heart. The hospital room hummed softly with machines, steady beeps, and distant murmurs of nurses changing shifts. Jasmine lay motionless beneath crisp white sheets, her chest rising and falling with slow precision, as though life had to be reminded to keep going. Detective Harold Kane stood just outside the room, arms crossed, observing through the glass. His eyes, sharp but weary, narrowed at the still woman before him. Something wasn't adding up. He heard footsteps behind him. She's stable, said Nurse Lorraine, an older black woman with kind eyes and a voice worn by 30 years of late-night shifts. Swelling's gone down a bit, but she's not waking up yet. She have any visitors? Just the little girl earlier. Then Child Protective Services took her. Kane frowned. No relatives? Not listed. Closest emergency contact was blank. Lorraine hesitated. Look, I know you're not here for medical opinions, detective, but Jasmine came in with more than just the head injury. Kane looked at her. What do you mean? Faint bruises, old, inner arms. A small scar on her lower back, nothing fresh, but someone hurt her before. Was it reported? Not that I can see. No police files. No medical records of domestic incidents, unless she hid them. Kane exhaled slowly. Or the man she was hiding from was the man she just let back in. Back at the Silver Pine police station, Marcus Reed sat alone in the dim interview room, staring at his own reflection in the two-way mirror. His shirt, once pristine white, was now stained red at the collar, brown at the cuff. He looked older than the 3 8-year-old entrepreneur the world had celebrated last month on the cover of Fortune. His lawyer, Alan Brimley, finally entered, carrying a folder and frustration. They're not charging you yet, Alan said, tossing the folder on the table. But make no mistake, they're digging. Hard. Marcus leaned forward. How's Jasmine? Still unconscious. No memory, as far as they know. I didn't hurt her, Marcus said. She slipped. Alan nodded but didn't look convinced. They found old bruises on her, Marcus. The kind that look like patterns. Marcus's jaw tightened. I didn't even know she had a kid until last night. Now they're trying to paint me into a monster. You're not helping your case. No contact in 7 years. And suddenly you show up, unannounced, in the middle of the night. You didn't even tell me you were going to Missouri. I didn't plan it. She messaged me. Alan raised an eyebrow. Show me. Marcus hesitated, then unlocked his phone and handed it over. The screen showed a message, sent at 1:08 a.m. the night before. She deserves more. Jasmine Taylor. That's all? Alan asked. She sent it. No follow-up. No call. Alan sighed, scrolling. You didn't even reply. I got in my car. I came. So you admit there was a past. Marcus looked down. One night. St. Louis. 7 years ago. We never spoke again. I thought it was just a fling. Well, it wasn't. Alan stood up and straightened his jacket. Until she wakes up and speaks for herself, your only saving grace is that kid. Marcus flinched. Anna. She called you Dad. That might be your lifeline. Or the rope they hang you with. Meanwhile, Anna sat cross-legged on a scratchy carpet in a quiet, beige living room that smelled of lemon cleaner and old paperbacks. Mrs. Ellington's foster home was quiet, save for the ticking of a grandfather clock and the soft humming of gospel music from the kitchen. The unicorn never left her arms. She hadn't spoken in hours, not since the last social worker asked her if she was feeling safe. Safe. It was a strange word. Grown-ups used it like a magic spell. Mrs. Ellington sat beside her now, holding 2 mugs of hot cocoa. One for me, she said, and one for brave girls. Anna didn't move. I hear you like drawing, Ellington said. Anna blinked. Mommy said I was going to be an artist. What do you like to draw? Eyes. Ellington smiled gently. Why eyes? Anna looked at her cocoa. Because eyes don't lie. The answer startled Ellington into silence. Do you want to talk about your dad? She asked softly. Anna shook her head. Ellington leaned back, sighing. That's okay. Sometimes it takes a while. But just so you know, anything you say helps the truth come out. And the truth, she whispered, always shows up. Even when people try to bury it. Anna glanced sideways. I think Mommy was hiding something. But I don't know what. At the hospital, Nurse Lorraine gently sponged Jasmine's forehead. The woman still hadn't stirred. Hey, baby, she murmured softly. Your little girl's strong. She called 911 all by herself. You did good raising her. Jasmine's eyelids fluttered, just a flicker. Lorraine paused, watching carefully. You got people fighting for you now. That man? He hasn't left the precinct since they brought him in. Keep saying he didn't do it. The machines beeped steadily, a sign of life. But no response. Lorraine whispered. I don't know your story, honey. But maybe it's time someone did. The following morning, Detective Kane stood in front of the whiteboard in the precinct's briefing room. Jasmine's name was written in red marker. Underneath, Marcus Reed, suspect, unconfirmed paternity. Kane turned to Vasquez. Get the DNA results prioritized. If he's the father, this goes in a whole new direction. Vasquez raised a brow. You think he's lying? I think he's not telling the whole truth. And her? She asked, gesturing toward Jasmine's photo. She hasn't said anything yet, but those bruises, they don't lie. Kane tapped the whiteboard. Here's what bothers me. No restraining order. No police reports. No signs of ongoing abuse. So either she never felt safe enough to come forward, or the danger didn't come from him. Vasquez leaned against the desk. What are you saying? I'm saying we might be chasing the wrong ghost. Back at the foster home, Anna opened her backpack. Among the crayons and stickers, she pulled out something folded tight, an old photo. A woman with a shy smile. A man beside her, laughing, younger, softer eyes. Anna stared at the photo, then whispered, Is this when you were happy, Mommy? She turned it over. There was something scrawled in childlike handwriting. For Anna. Someday. Anna's heart beat faster. Someday was today. The morning sun crept through the blinds of the Silverpine Medical Center, casting soft slats of light across Jasmine's face. For the first time in 2 days, her eyes twitched. Then opened. Everything was a blur. The ceiling, the hum of machines, the distant roll of a cart in the hallway. Her mouth felt dry as sand. She tried to move, but her head throbbed like a war drum in the dark. Jasmine, the voice was gentle. A nurse, The same one who had been there each time she drifted in and out. Nurse Lorraine. "You're in the hospital," Lorraine said softly. "You fell, hit your head." Jasmine blinked slowly, her lips parting. "Anna, she's safe, baby," Lorraine assured her. "She called 911 herself. Brave little girl." Jasmine's eyes welled with tears. Then she asked, barely above a whisper, Did he touch her?" "No, honey. No one's hurt your daughter. She's all right." The relief that swept over Jasmine was so sharp it made her chest ache. But with it came a deeper, heavier dread. Marcus. He had come back. Why now? Across town, the mailman made his daily loop through Willow Crest. He stopped at 1357, now a crime scene, taped off with yellow strips like an old wound, and hesitated. No one lived there, not now. But his route didn't care about police tape. He slipped a single envelope through the rusted slot and moved on. Inside, the envelope landed on the floor, cream-colored, handwritten. The address inked in careful, flowing script. To Marcus Reed. From Louise Taylor. But Marcus wouldn't see it, not today. Instead, it would be found hours later by Officer Darlene Hughes, who'd returned to the house with a forensics tech to collect a possible item from the kitchen. "What's this?" she murmured, picking up the envelope with gloved fingers. She opened it carefully. "Read," and froze. Detective Kane stood beside Marcus in a small, fluorescent-lit interview room. The walls were too white. Too clean. Like they were hiding something. "We got a letter," Kane said, sliding the open envelope across the table. Marcus stared at it, his name, his handwriting. Almost but older. Familiar. He opened it. "Marcus, you don't know me, but I've known about you for a long time. My name is Louise. I'm Jasmine's grandmother. I raised her after her mother passed. I've watched her carry a burden that should have never been hers alone. Anna is your daughter. She's had your eyes since the day she was born. Jasmine didn't tell you because she was scared not of you, but of what it would mean. She didn't want your name or your money. She just wanted to protect that little girl from becoming someone's secret. But secrets grow heavy. And Jasmine's been drowning. So I'm writing to say this. If you're reading this, you probably know something's gone wrong. Maybe Jasmine's in trouble. Maybe you are. Either way, now you know the truth. And that means you have a choice. Show up, or disappear again." Marcus's hands trembled. He set the letter down. "Why didn't she just tell me herself?" Kane folded his arms. "Maybe she didn't believe you'd care." Marcus looked up sharply. "I would've." Kane didn't interrupt. He just waited. Let the weight of it settle in. "Where's Anna now?" Marcus asked. "In temporary foster care," Kane replied. "But there's a hearing scheduled. If you are her father, and if Jasmine remains incapacitated, you could be granted temporary custody. Of course, that depends on whether you're cleared of any criminal responsibility." Marcus leaned back in his chair, eyes unfocused. A daughter. He had a daughter. He had been a father for 6 years and didn't even know. At the foster home, Anna sat at the small table in the corner, crayons scattered around her like fallen leaves. In front of her, the same photo she'd found in her backpack. The young woman her mother was smiling. And beside her was a man Anna didn't quite remember. But her heart seemed to recognize. She turned it over again. The same handwriting. For Anna someday. She glanced up as Mrs. Ellington walked in with a folded piece of paper. "Sweetheart, someone dropped this off. Said it was from your great-grandma, Louise." Anna's eyes lit up. She took the folded paper carefully, opening it like it was glass. "My sweet Anna, if you're reading this, then things have happened I wish I could have stopped. But you're strong, just like your mama. And you've got a light in you, no one can take away. Your mama didn't always make the easy choices, but she always made them with love. That man you met, Marcus, is your daddy. And no matter how late he came, if he's there now, he deserves the chance to try. But you don't have to forgive fast. Just keep your heart open. Love, always. GG, Great-Grandma Louise." Anna read it twice, then hugged it against her chest. She didn't fully understand what it all meant, not yet. But something in her chest loosened. Maybe Daddy wasn't a stranger after all. Later that afternoon, Jasmine sat upright in bed, still weak but awake. Nurse Lorraine fed her ice chips and gently combed her curls. "You've got people waiting to talk to you," Lorraine said. "One of them looks like he hasn't slept in 2 days." Jasmine closed her eyes. "Marcus, you remember?" "I remember everything." Lorraine paused. "You want to talk to him?" Jasmine was silent for a long time. Then, "Number?" Lorraine nodded slowly, not pressing. "But tell him," Jasmine said, her voice barely above a breath. "Tell him I never meant to hide her from him. I was trying to protect her, from the world, from myself." Outside the room, Marcus stood in the hallway, watching through the glass. He didn't try to go in. Not yet. Some doors had to open on their own. But deep inside him, something shifted. He was no longer the man who'd walked into that kitchen by accident. He was a father now, and that changed everything. Marcus sat on the bench outside the hospital, hunched over, elbows on knees, head bowed. His $1,000 suit had wrinkled under 2 sleepless nights. His phone buzzed in his pocket, but he didn't reach for it. Nothing from his world, the company, the investors, the headlines mattered anymore. He had a daughter, and a past that had finally caught up with him. The letter from Louise hadn't just confirmed the truth. It exposed something deeper. Jasmine hadn't withheld Anna from cruelty or bitterness. She'd withheld Anna from becoming another child wrapped in a legacy of abandonment, one Marcus knew too well. He could still remember the sound of the slamming door at the foster home in East St. Louis when he was 7. Another failed placement. Another promise broken. "You talk too much," the woman had said. "Too many questions." That ain't cute. He'd learned, early on, that some doors never opened again. Inside the hospital, Jasmine was slowly recovering. Nurse Lorraine helped her sit up, adjusting the pillows behind her. "You're strong," Lorraine said. "But strong women still need rest." Jasmine nodded, her voice hoarse. "Where's Anna?" "With a kind foster mom. Safe. They won't place her long-term until we know what's happening with custody." Jasmine closed her eyes. "Marcus hasn't left the hospital. But he's not pushing. He just sits outside, like he's waiting for permission." Jasmine looked down at her bandaged hands. "He should have come back years ago, but he didn't know," Lorraine said gently. "That doesn't change what happened," Jasmine replied. "No," Lorraine agreed. "But sometimes healing doesn't mean forgetting. It just means stopping the bleeding." At the station, Detective Vasquez tapped her pen against her mug. "We got the DNA back." Detective Kane raised his eyebrows. "And? He's the father." Kane leaned back. "That's one answer. Now we need the rest." "There's something else," Vasquez added. I pulled up Jasmine's work history. She worked at 2 different hospitals in St. Louis. One of them had a domestic incident reported under a different name, Jane Taylor. Kane sat up straighter. "Alias? Possibly. Or just a nickname. But the description fits. Small black woman, mid-22nd, admitted with bruised ribs, no charges filed, no name given for the suspect." Kane exhaled. This just got deeper. Meanwhile, Anna sat on the back porch of Mrs. Ellington's house, hugging her unicorn, staring at the neighborhood kids playing tag on the sidewalk. She didn't feel like running. She felt like floating away. Mrs. Ellington joined her with a glass of lemonade. "You know," she said gently, "your mama used to sit just like this when she was your age." Anna looked up. "You knew my mommy when she was little?" "Oh yes. Jasmine and her grandma lived just 4 streets from here, before they moved to the city." Anna's eyes widened. "Was mommy sad too?" Mrs. Ellington paused. "She was. Quiet. Thoughtful. Like you. Always watching. Always. Drawing." "Nell." Anna pulled out her notebook from her backpack. The latest page showed a house with 2 doors, one open, one closed. A little girl stood in between them. "I don't know which way to go," she whispered. Mrs. Ellington wrapped an arm around her. "That's okay. Sometimes, little girls know more than grown-ups." Anna turned her head. "Did my daddy leave on purpose?" "I don't think so, baby. I think he just didn't know where to be." That evening, Marcus finally worked up the nerve to ask. "I want to see her," he he told Lorraine. Not to apologize. Not yet. Just to say I'm not leaving. Lorraine looked him over. His tie was missing. His shirt was unbuttoned at the top. He looked nothing like the polished CEO from the magazine covers. He looked like a man stripped to his truth. She's awake. She can say no. I know. Lorraine disappeared into the room and returned a moment later. She gave a slight nod. She'll give you 5 minutes. No more. Marcus entered the room slowly, cautiously. Jasmine looked thinner, older somehow. Her face pale beneath the hospital lights, but her eyes still sharp, still guarded. He stopped a few feet from the bed. Hey, he said softly. She didn't speak. I got the letter, he added, from your grandmother. Jasmine's voice was barely above a whisper. She was the only one who ever believed in me. I didn't know, Marcus said. Not just about Anna, about any of it. Jasmine's eyes flashed. You didn't ask. He nodded, accepting it. I didn't come back because I was noble. I came because I was scared. You sent that message. She deserves more. And I knew, deep down, you meant Anna. I did. I wanted to stay, but I didn't know how. Jasmine's lips trembled. Do you want to be her father, Marcus? Or are you just trying to fix your guilt? He hesitated. Both, maybe. I don't know how to be a dad, but I want to try. Silence. Then Jasmine said, she's scared of you. The words hit him like a stone. She said you scared me. That you made me cry. Marcus swallowed hard. I never laid a hand on you. I know. But children don't just see hands. They see faces. Fear doesn't need bruises. He nodded again. This time slower. He wasn't defending himself. He was learning. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he said. Just the chance to earn her trust, one moment at a time. Jasmine studied him, her eyes softening, if only slightly. Start by showing up for the hearing, she said. It's in 3 days. I'll be there, he whispered. She turned her head toward the window. Her voice so faint, he almost didn't hear it. She draws eyes. Anna, just like I did. Marcus smiled weakly. Maybe it runs in the family. Jasmine didn't smile back. But she didn't ask him to leave, either. 3 nights later, Marcus stood in his hotel room, tying the same tie he hadn't worn since the last board meeting. The courtroom awaited. So did Jasmine. So did Anna. He looked in the mirror. He saw a man who used to believe he owed nothing to anyone. But now he saw a father trying to rewrite a legacy. Not by being perfect, but by finally showing up. The county courthouse in Silverpine was a squat sandstone building that had seen more divorces and custody battles than its tired walls could remember. But today, courtroom 2B felt different, heavier, like it was holding its breath. Marcus stood near the front, next to his lawyer, Alan Brimley, in a navy suit that suddenly felt too tight. The polished floor reflected his anxious stance, but nothing reflected the weight pressing on his chest. Today was the hearing. Today, the state would decide if he had any right to call himself Anna's father. Across the aisle sat Jasmine in a wheelchair, pale but alert. Her lawyer leaned close, whispering last-minute strategy. But Jasmine's eyes never left the courtroom doors, because Anna wasn't here yet. The judge entered promptly at 9 a.m., a gray-haired woman with tired eyes and a voice sharpened by decades of decisions. This hearing is now in session. Case number 18CF4072. Custody review for minor Anna Taylor. We'll begin with preliminary statements. Marcus didn't hear Alan's opening words. His thoughts were elsewhere. What if Anna didn't want to see him? What if she pointed at him in open court and said, I'm scared of him? What if Jasmine changed her mind? But then, the side door creaked open. Mrs. Ellington entered, holding Anna's small hand. Anna wore a pale yellow dress and white sneakers. Her unicorn was tucked under her arm like armor. Marcus couldn't breathe. She didn't look at him, just walked slowly, solemnly, to the child seat set up by the social worker, a booster seat on top of the witness chair. When she sat down, her feet didn't touch the floor. Judge Marlowe looked over her glasses. Anna, Do you know why you're here today? Anna nodded. To talk about my mommy and my daddy. And do you know who Marcus Reed is? Anna turned and looked at him. Her eyes were wide, searching. Then she nodded. He's my real daddy. Marcus felt something inside him crack open. Judge Marlowe nodded. Do you remember what happened the night your mommy got hurt? Anna shifted in her seat. They were yelling. Mommy was crying. Then the vase broke. Did you see your father hurt your mother? Anna hesitated. But she looked scared. And then she fell. The courtroom went silent. Do you think your daddy wanted to hurt your mommy? Anna blinked. I think he was mad, but he cried after. He held her hand. Marlowe nodded. Do you feel safe when you're with him? Another pause. Anna looked directly at Marcus now. I don't know yet, she said honestly. But I want to try. Alan placed a hand over Marcus's wrist under the table, a silent steadying. Jasmine, across the room, closed her eyes for a moment. No tears. Just a long, slow breath. The judge turned to Jasmine. Miss Taylor, do you wish to make a statement? Jasmine's voice was firm, though her body still ached. Yes, Your Honor. She looked at Marcus when she spoke. I never planned to raise Anna alone, but I was scared, not of violence but of disappointment, of being abandoned. I saw what that did to my own mother, and I couldn't let Anna become another girl wondering why she wasn't enough to make her father stay. Marcus lowered his head, but Marcus didn't know. Jasmine continued. And when he found out, he came. He stayed. He didn't run. That counts for something. She turned to the judge. I'm not asking you to hand her over. I'm asking you to give him a chance to show up, officially. Judge Marlowe scribbled a few notes. Then she looked at Marcus. Mr. Reed, do you wish to say anything? Marcus stood. His voice wasn't polished. It was raw. Human. I don't know what it means to be a good father yet, he said, but I know what it means to grow up without one. I remember birthdays where no one showed up. Foster homes where I learned to pack before I could trust. I don't want Anna to grow up wondering if she matters. He turned, looking directly at Anna. I don't want to be a stranger with a matching blood type. I want to be someone who listens when she talks, who shows up when she falls, who stays. Anna tilted her head, watching him closely. Judge Marlowe nodded. Thank you. I'll return with my decision shortly. She stood and exited the bench. The room exhaled. As the lawyers huddled and papers shuffled, Anna slid out of her chair and walked slowly across the room. She stopped in front of Marcus. He knelt to her height. Anna looked at him quietly, then reached into the pocket of her dress. She handed him a folded piece of paper. Marcus opened it. A drawing stick figures, colored with care. A tall man, a woman with curly hair, and a little girl in the middle holding both their hands. The house in the background had 2 doors. Both were open. Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. Anna whispered, "You can stay, if you want." He nodded, unable to speak. He opened his arms, and she stepped into them, her unicorn tucked between them. Jasmine watched from across the room, her lips pressed tight. Not smiling, not crying, but she didn't stop it. The doors reopened. Judge Marlowe returned, sat down, and cleared her throat. This court hereby grants Mr. Marcus Reed supervised visitation and temporary joint custody, pending ongoing assessment and family counseling. Further review will occur in 90 days. Marcus exhaled. So did Jasmine. So did Anna, who just whispered, "Okay, Outside, as the sun climbed higher over the courthouse steps, the 3 of them walked down slowly. Not a family yet, but no longer strangers. Not anymore. 3 weeks after the court hearing, the house on Sycamore Street felt like it had been rewired. Jasmine had returned home with Anna, her body still healing, her heart still uncertain. Marcus didn't live there, but now he came by every afternoon at exactly 5:30 p.m., like clockwork. Some days, he brought books. Other days, he brought takeout. But always, he brought silence. At least at first. The kind of silence that asked permission before speaking. That waited for a child to choose whether to speak or not. Anna hadn't called him Dad again. Not yet. But she had started calling him Marcus. Then, Mr. Marcus. Then, one day, without ceremony. My Marcus. It stuck. Today was one of those late spring afternoons when the sky was too blue to be real. The sun threw golden streaks through the kitchen window as Jasmine stirred a pot of chicken and dumplings. Her movements were slow, deliberate. Her ribs still ached, sometimes phantom pain, more memory than wound. Marcus sat at the small dining table, helping Anna glue sequins to a cardboard cutout of a crown. "Should I put more here?" Anna asked. Marcus leaned in. "I think the queen deserves all the sparkle she wants." Jasmine glanced over her shoulder, watching them, then turned back quickly. There was a time when this kitchen had only the sound of one voice. Now, it had two. Sometimes three. It scared her more than she admitted, because familiarity was dangerous. That's what her grandmother used to say. People don't break you when they come in yelling. They break you when they come in soft. Later that evening, after Anna had gone to bed with her unicorn tucked under one arm and a flashlight in the other, Jasmine walked Marcus to the porch. The air was cooler now, cicadas humming in the trees like static in the background. "You've been showing up," she said. Marcus looked down at his shoes. "I said I would." She nodded. "She's starting to trust you." "I know, but what about you?" Jasmine didn't answer right away, then, "I'm trying." There was a pause, long and weighted. "You never told me who hurt you before," Marcus said gently. Jasmine didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned against the porch railing, eyes fixed on the street. "His name was Aaron. We were 19. I met him in nursing school. He was funny and smart, and had the kind of attention that makes a girl feel seen." Marcus stayed silent. "He didn't hit me at first. Just controlled things. My friends. My clothes. How long I could stay out. And then it got worse. Bruises in places no one could see. He'd cry after, say he'd change. You know the pattern." She finally looked at Marcus. "I left him before I found out I was pregnant. I never told him about Anna. I was afraid he'd find her. Or worse, get custody." Marcus clenched his fists slowly, then released. "Did Louise know?" Jasmine nodded. "She helped me disappear. New name. New job. New town. We lived small, but we were safe. Until the letter. Until you." Marcus felt his breath catch. "I was never supposed to find you, was I? I wasn't sure I wanted to be found. Then. But I sent that message because I was tired of hiding. I wanted Anna to have more than just my fears." Marcus stepped closer. "You gave her everything. You still are." Jasmine smiled faintly. "Now it's your turn." The following Sunday, Marcus invited Jasmine and Anna to his condo in downtown St. Louis. It was sleek, modern, filled with art that cost more than Jasmine's car. Anna twirled barefoot on the hardwood floors like it was a palace. "This place is huge," she yelled. "Wait until you see the balcony," Marcus grinned. But Jasmine saw something else. The second bedroom had been turned into a child's room. The walls painted soft lavender. A small desk. A bookshelf filled with stories of brave girls. On the bed sat a brand new unicorn purple this time. "You did this?" Jasmine asked. Marcus nodded. "I wanted her to have space. A place that felt hers, not mine." Jasmine walked around slowly. "It's beautiful. But she won't sleep here unless I do. Too. I know. And I won't stay overnight unless it feels right. I wouldn't expect you to." But then, Anna piped up from behind them, holding a framed photo of herself between the two of them, clearly photoshopped, but lovingly done. "I think we look good together," she said. They both laughed, surprised by how easy it sounded. The illusion of peace broke the following week when Jasmine received a letter. It wasn't handwritten. It came in an official white envelope, stamped with a seal that made her hands shake before she even opened it. Missouri Family Court, petition for paternal intervention, filed by Aaron Douglas. The name stabbed her chest like a nail through the ribs. Marcus found her sitting on the couch later that day, the letter crumpled in her fist. "He found you?" he asked, voice low. Jasmine nodded. "He's claiming biological paternity. He wants a DNA test." Marcus felt the floor tilt beneath him. That means he's trying to get custody, or at least visitation. Marcus sat beside her, slowly. Does he know Anna's mine? He doesn't care. He's not doing this out of love. He's doing it to hurt me. Marcus stared into the distance, jaw tight. We won't let him. Jasmine looked at him, her voice shaking. This isn't just a custody issue. He's dangerous. He's manipulative. He'll twist anything. Marcus reached over and took her hand. Then we fight. Together. She didn't pull away. And that was a beginning. Again. The silence in the lawyer's office was thicker than any courtroom. Jasmine sat across from her attorney, Dana Westfield. Her eyes locked on the legal documents spread out on the table. Her hands trembled. But her voice stayed steady. She had practiced this, so Aaron filed for biological paternity. Dana said, flipping a page, claiming he had a relationship with you during the time of conception. He's requesting a court-ordered DNA test. Jasmine exhaled through her nose. He's lying. I believe you. But he knows the system, Jasmine. He's banking on delay tactics and manipulation. He doesn't have to win custody to make your life hell. He just has to plant doubt. Jasmine's jaw clenched. Can we fight it? We can oppose the test, but courts lean toward biological confirmation. They believe the truth will protect the child's best interest. Dana leaned in. The good news is, Marcus's DNA already confirmed he's the father. That gives us solid ground. Aaron's petition contradicts existing evidence. Jasmine nodded, though her stomach flipped. Aaron doesn't want Anna. He wants me scared again. Dana placed a hand on hers. Then let's not give him that power. Meanwhile, Marcus stood by the elevator at the Channel 12 news building, watching the segment replay on the waiting room screen. A familiar face stared back at him. Aaron Douglas, polished, charming, dressed in a custom blazer, sitting casually with the morning show anchor. The lower third of the screen read, Community leader calls for more parental rights reform. Aaron smiled for the camera. Children deserve both parents. I think we can all agree on that. Marcus's stomach soured. This man was no ghost from the past. He was alive, public, and now wrapping his motives in social reform language. Marcus recognized the tactic it was, how he sold stock options to people who couldn't afford groceries. But Aaron was better at it. He didn't just sell trust. He impersonated it. The elevator dinged. Marcus stepped inside, his jaw locked. 2 nights later, the first confrontation happened. Marcus had taken Anna out for frozen yogurt after her art class. Jasmine had stayed home, her headache had returned. They were walking back to the car in the parking lot when a dark blue sedan pulled up beside them. The passenger window rolled down. Well, isn't this sweet? A voice called out. Daddy, daughter date night. Marcus froze. Aaron Douglas leaned out of the window, sunglasses perched low on his nose. A smirk stretched across his face. Anna instinctively took a step behind Marcus, gripping his hand. Who are you? She asked, eyes wide. Aaron looked at her with calculated ease. I'm someone who knew your mommy a long time ago. Marcus stepped forward, shielding Anna. Back off, Aaron. Relax, Aaron said, raising both hands mockingly. I'm just saying hello. Family's important, isn't it? That's what your lawyer keeps telling everyone. You come near her again and I swear. Oh please, Aaron cut in. Let's not go alpha. We both know this is going to court. You got your day. I'll get mine. With that, the car rolled forward and disappeared into the night. Anna stared at Marcus, eyes wet. Why did he talk like he knows me? Marcus crouched down, holding her shoulders. Because he wants to scare us. But I won't let him. Do you hear me? Anna nodded, but her voice trembled. Was he the one who hurt Mommy? Marcus hesitated. Then, he's someone Mommy worked very hard to keep away from you. She buried her face into his shoulder, and he held her until her sobs quieted. Back at Jasmine's house, Marcus recounted everything. I should have taken a picture of his plate, called the cops. Jasmine sat silent, holding the tea mug in both hands like a lifeline. He's not going away, she whispered. Marcus paced the kitchen. Then we make him wish he never came back. Jasmine looked up, surprised. What are you saying? I'm saying let's take control. We go public. What? We don't have to spill everything, but we tell our story on our terms, before he paints himself as the savior of broken families. Jasmine shook her head. I can't put Anna through that kind of spotlight. I'm not talking about exposing her. I'm talking about exposing him. Jasmine bit her lip. If you go to war with Aaron, he'll go lower than you can imagine. Marcus met her eyes. Then let's dig lower first. The next morning, Marcus met with Detective Kane. I want to talk about Aaron Douglas. Kane raised an eyebrow. The same Aaron Douglas who filed for paternity? Marcus nodded. He's not just some scorned ex. He's dangerous. Jasmine said there were no official charges before. But that doesn't mean there's no record. Kane leaned back. You're not wrong. We ran a light background check when his name popped up. No convictions, but there are sealed juvenile files and one domestic dispute filed by a woman in Kansas City 4 years ago. Dropped due to insufficient evidence. Marcus clenched his fists. What do you need to look deeper? Witness statements, a pattern, something credible to push for a judge to unseal records. Marcus looked him square in the eye. What if Jasmine talks? Kane nodded slowly. If she's willing, we might be able to build a case. But she needs to be ready for him to come after her. Legally. Personally. Publicly. I'll protect her. Marcus said without hesitation. That night, Jasmine sat on the porch again, her grandmother's shawl draped over her shoulders. The stars were faint, drowned by city lights, but she looked anyway. Marcus stepped outside, holding 2 mugs of cocoa. She took one without a word. I talked to Kane, he said. I figured. He wants a formal statement. Jasmine closed her eyes. He said your voice could be the one that brings Aaron down. Jasmine nodded slowly. I know. Then she opened her eyes and looked at Marcus. But if I go on record, if I drag this into the light, I need to know you're not going anywhere. Marcus didn't flinch. I'm here. I'm all in. Jasmine took a deep breath. Then let's burn the past down. The conference room at the Silver Pine Police Department wasn't built for comfort. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The chairs were stiff. The walls bare. But Jasmine sat upright, calm. Her fingers intertwined tightly in her lap. Her lips pressed into a firm line. She wasn't here for comfort. She was here for truth. Detective Kane entered, followed by a female officer who set a recorder on the table and pressed a button. You understand this statement is voluntary? Kane asked, voice level. Jasmine nodded. Yes. And you're willing to speak on record about your past relationship with Aaron Douglas? Another nod. Yes. He clicked his pen and opened a blank notebook. When did you first meet Mr. Douglas? Jasmine swallowed, but her voice didn't waver. I was 19, first year of nursing school in Kansas City. He was 2 years older, working as a pharmacy tech. Charismatic, funny, confident. She paused. It started with compliments. Flowers. Checking in constantly. I thought it was love. Kane kept his tone neutral. When did things change? About 3 months in. He started controlling what I wore. Who I spoke to. Said I was flirting if I laughed around other guys. She exhaled. Then came the first time he shoved me. Kane didn't interrupt. The recorder clicked softly as the silence settled. I stayed, Jasmine admitted. I believed him when he said it was stress. Or that it was my fault. The room felt smaller as she continued. Every word dragged weight behind it. He isolated me from friends. When I got pregnant, I didn't even tell him. I was already planning my escape. My grandmother wired me money. I took a bus to St. Louis and started over under a different name. Kane looked up. Did you file a report? Number. I was afraid he'd find me. I changed my number. Moved twice. I thought, if I disappeared, he'd stop looking. But now he's found you again, Kane said softly. Jasmine nodded. He's not here for Anna. He's here to remind me he still can. Kane leaned forward. This is powerful, Jasmine. It helps us make a case to block his petition. If we can corroborate some of this, find records, Other victims, we can argue he poses a danger. I'll testify, Jasmine said. Kane blinked. You're sure? She didn't hesitate. I won't let him write the story this time. Outside the precinct, Marcus waited in the car. Jasmine stepped in slowly, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. How'd it go? He asked quietly. I told them everything, she said. Even the parts I never said out loud. Marcus reached across and took her hand. Proud of you, he said. Jasmine let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. I feel like I took a brick off my chest. He smiled, one brick at a time. Back at home, Anna sat at the kitchen table, coloring quietly. Mrs. Ellington sat across from her, flipping through a photo album Louise had left behind. Who's this? Anna asked, pointing to a woman in a nurse's uniform. That's your mama, the day she graduated nursing school. She looks like she's smiling, but her eyes aren't. Mrs. Ellington nodded. Your mama learned early how to hide storms behind sunshine. Anna tilted her heel. Do I do that too? Sometimes. But you also know how to ask questions. That's brave, honey. Anna picked up a blue crayon. I don't like the man in the car. The one who said he knew Mommy. Mrs. Ellington gently squeezed her hand. It's okay not to like someone, especially if they make your tummy twist. Anna looked up, serious. Can I tell the judge that? You can tell the judge anything that's true, she said. Truth always matters most. Over the next week, Kane's team worked around the clock. They reached out to the woman in Kansas City from the dropped domestic dispute. At first, she refused to talk. Said she'd moved on, but after hearing Jasmine's story, she agreed to submit a sealed statement describing nearly identical behavior from Aaron. The pieces were falling into place, but so was Aaron's campaign. He had launched a slick PR push articles, podcast interviews, and a series of local news spots framing him as a father fighting against a system rigged against men. He's weaponizing sympathy, Marcus growled as he switched off the television. He's not even mentioning Jasmine or Anna by name, just my daughter and the mother who kept her from me. Jasmine paced. People will believe what sounds easier. They don't know the truth yet, Marcus said. But they will. 2 days before the next hearing, Jasmine received a letter. Handwritten. No return address. She opened it cautiously. You always liked playing the victim. But let's see what happens when the lights are on you. Hey. Jasmine froze. Marcus read over her shoulder. He's trying to rattle you. He's succeeding, she whispered. Marcus took the letter and handed it to Kane the next morning. The detective photographed it and bagged it as evidence. He's panicking, Kane said. Threatening letters only show intent. This helps us. But it puts her in danger, Marcus snapped. We're filing for a temporary restraining order. He won't get close again. The day of the next hearing, the courtroom buzzed with tension. Aaron arrived first, alone, all swagger and tailored smugness. He smiled for the cameras outside, gave a wave like a politician. Jasmine entered next, flanked by Dana and Marcus, her head high. Judge Marlowe took the bench, eyes sharp. I've reviewed the new evidence submitted, including Miss Taylor's sworn testimony and corroborating statements. Mr. Douglas, given the serious nature of these allegations and the pattern of behavior presented, I am suspending your petition for paternity testing, pending further investigation. Aaron's smirk faded. You are hereby issued a no-contact order with Miss Taylor and minor Anna Taylor for the next 90 days. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Jasmine let out a breath she hadn't dared take all morning. Marlowe continued. This court will not allow its process to be manipulated as a weapon. Children are not leverage. They are lives. Aaron opened his mouth, but his lawyer tugged his sleeve. He stayed silent. As the gavel fell, Jasmine felt a weight shift. Not lifted, but shifted. She wasn't just defending anymore. She was winning. Outside, reporters called out questions, but Jasmine didn't stop. Marcus shielded her with his arm as they moved to the car. Anna was waiting at home, and home finally was starting to feel like one. It was the first Saturday in weeks that didn't begin with dread. No subpoenas. No letters. No news clips about Aaron Douglas. Just the smell of bacon, the sound of cartoons in the living room, and a golden stream of morning sun warming the hardwood floors. Jasmine stood in the kitchen, flipping pancakes, her hair tied up in a loose bun. She still wore her robe, and for once, she wasn't watching the clock. In the living room, Anna sat cross-legged on the rug, laughing at a silly commercial between episodes. Marcus lay stretched on the couch, one arm behind his head, the other lazily tossing a stuffed unicorn into the air every time Anna giggled. The house felt like a family, not a battleground. Jasmine carried a plate into the living room. "All right, you two. Breakfast is served." Anna jumped up. "Pancakes with chocolate chips and extra syrup," Jasmine confirmed. As they sat around the coffee table, eating and laughing, Marcus caught Jasmine's eye and smiled. A quiet smile, not forced, not guarded. Just real. Jasmine smiled back. No words, just peace. But peace, she knew, was always temporary. Later that afternoon, they took Anna to the town farmers market. It was a warm, breezy day, the kind where people wandered slowly with iced teas in hand, listening to live folk music under tents. Anna wore a straw hat and carried a reusable tote bag almost her size, determined to pick the best apples on her own. "I think this one's magical," she said, holding up a lopsided apple. "It probably is," Marcus said. "Looks like the kind that talks in fairy tales." Jasmine chuckled. "Or gives you strange dreams." They wandered past flower stalls, hand-carved toys, and homemade jams. For a moment, Jasmine let herself pretend they'd always done this. That they were just another trio, enjoying a quiet Saturday. No legal battles, no haunting names, just them. They stopped at a honey vendor. The old man behind the table grinned at Anna. "You've got good eyes for apples. Bet you can spot the best honey, too." Anna beamed. "Can I taste the clover one?" As she sampled, the vendor turned to Jasmine and Marcus. "Your granddaughter?" Marcus grinned, but Jasmine spoke first. "Our daughter." There was a second of surprise in the man's eyes, then a warm nod. Lucky girl. And Jasmine, to her own surprise, believed it. That evening, after Anna was in bed and the house quieted again, Jasmine and Marcus sat on the back porch, the same way they had many nights before, but this time with 2 glasses of red wine and no emergency plans. "I forgot what this felt like," Jasmine said softly. "Stillness?" Marcus asked. "Normal. Safe. Just living." He nodded. "I've been chasing it most of my life." She sipped her wine, then looked at him seriously. "Do you ever miss it?" "Miss what?" "Your old life. Before this. Before us." He thought for a moment. "There was a time when I thought I had everything. The company. The respect. The freedom. I could go anywhere. Do anything." He paused. "But I was always alone. I thought that was strength. Turns out, it was just distance." He looked at her. "This what we're building, it's messy. But it's real." Jasmine smiled. "Yeah, it's messy." They both laughed quietly. Then Marcus turned more serious. "I've been thinking about the next step." Jasmine raised an eyebrow. "I want to change the guardianship agreement. Make it permanent. You already have joint custody. I know. But I want to make it legal, full co-guardianship. Not just temporary terms. I want to be listed on every school form, every doctor's file, not as an emergency contact, as her father." Jasmine looked at him for a long moment. Her heart beat faster, not from fear, but from the weight of what he was offering. What he was asking for. "You're ready for that?" "I'm already living it," he said simply. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked out into the dark yard, where Anna's jump rope still lay in the grass from earlier. "Let's talk to Dana," she said at last. "Make sure it's done right." Marcus smiled. "Thank you." She looked back at him. "Thank you for not giving up." He shook his head. "I never had a reason to stay before. Now I have 2. The next morning, Marcus took Anna out for a breakfast date, just the 2 of them. Jasmine used the time to clean the house and sort through papers she'd been avoiding for weeks. At the bottom of a drawer, she found an old notebook. Her journal from when she first moved to Silverpine. She flipped it open. Pages filled with fear, hope, and frantic budgeting. Lists of jobs applied to. Descriptions of Anna's first steps. Entries that sounded like prayers disguised as plans. Then one entry stood out. Someday, I'll have to explain why I left everything behind. I just hope she understands that I didn't run from life, I ran to protect hers. Jasmine traced the words with her finger. Then she took out a pen and added a new line beneath it. Today, I no longer feel like I'm running. She closed the journal and smiled. That afternoon, the doorbell rang. Expecting Marcus and Anna, Jasmine opened the door without checking. But it wasn't them. A man stood on the porch, unfamiliar, wearing a dark gray suit and carrying a leather briefcase. "Miss Jasmine Taylor?" he asked. "Yes. I'm here on behalf of a private investigator hired by Aaron Douglas. I'm delivering a notice of deposition request. You'll be required to testify under oath regarding your past relationships and your decision to conceal the child's paternity." Jasmine froze. He handed her a thick envelope. The man nodded politely. "You've been served." Ugh. Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into a black car parked across the street. Jasmine stood in the doorway, the papers heavy in her hands. Her chest tightened. The quiet had ended. Inside, the clock ticked. Outside, the sky darkened, and the next storm gathered. The conference room smelled faintly of old coffee and paper, sterile, cold, and deliberately uncomfortable. Jasmine sat across from a long, polished oak table. Her attorney Dana beside her, calm and composed. On the other side sat Aaron's lawyer, Harold Green. A man with slicked-back silver hair, a too-tight tie, and the smirk of someone who enjoyed unearthing skeletons. A court reporter sat quietly in the corner, fingers poised over a stenograph. A small recording device blinked red on the table between them. "This deposition," Harold began, "is being conducted pursuant to the petition filed by my client, Mr. Aaron Douglas, and will cover your past relationship with him, the child in question, and any steps taken to conceal paternity." Dana leaned toward Jasmine. "You don't need to answer anything that is clearly meant to intimidate. Stay calm. Speak truth." Jasmine nodded once, spine straight. She had chosen this path. Now she would walk it. Harold adjusted his glasses. "Let's begin. Miss Taylor, did you and Mr. Douglas engage in a romantic relationship in or around September 10 years ago?" "Yes," Jasmine replied, voice steady. "Was this relationship consensual?" Jasmine paused. "At first, yes. Then it became abusive." Harold didn't flinch. "Are there any police reports documenting this alleged abuse?" "No," she said. "No hospital visits, no photographs. Number, I was afraid." He nodded, scribbling a note. "Convenient." Dana immediately cut in. "Objection to characterization. Withdrawn." Harold said coolly. "So you admit there is no formal documentation of this abuse?" "I just told you there isn't," Jasmine said. But the fear was real. He moved on quickly. "You left Kansas City shortly after discovering you were pregnant?" "Yes." "And you never informed Mr. Douglas?" "Number." "Why not?" "Because I believed he was dangerous. To the child. To both of us." Harold leaned back in his chair. "Miss Taylor, are you aware that withholding paternity information is a legal issue in the state of Missouri? That some consider it a form of parental alienation?" Dana spoke before Jasmine could respond. "Objection. Harassment. The question is leading and irrelevant to current custody standing." Jasmine remained composed. She looked directly at Harold. Aaron Douglas never asked about a child because he never thought about consequences. He didn't want a family. He wanted control, and when I left, I took away the only thing he couldn't manipulate. Harold gave a tight smile. "So, in your words, you made the decision unilaterally to deny Mr. Douglas the right to know he had a child." "I made the decision to protect myself and my daughter," Jasmine replied. "From a man who once slammed my head into a door because I didn't answer his phone call fast enough." The silence that followed was suffocating. Harold clicked his pen. "No further questions at this time," he said flatly. Outside the building, Marcus was waiting in the car, foot tapping against the floor mat. When Jasmine stepped out, he opened the door immediately. "How bad?" he asked. Jasmine let out a long breath. They tried to twist everything. Made it seem like I was the criminal. You're not, he said. You survived. She climbed into the passenger seat. It doesn't feel like it's over. It's not, Marcus said, pulling onto the road. But you held your ground. And we're still here. They drove in silence for a while. Then Jasmine whispered, I hated him for so long. I forgot what it felt like to speak his name out loud. Marcus reached over and squeezed her hand. You took your voice back. That matters. That evening, Jasmine sat in Anna's room, watching her daughter sleep. Her small chest rose and fell under the soft blanket. The unicorn nightlight glowed beside her bed. Jasmine whispered softly, I hope one day you understand why I did all of this. She didn't notice Marcus standing in the doorway until he cleared his throat gently. She will, he said. She already knows more than most 6-year-olds. Jasmine nodded. She's stronger than I give her credit for. So is her mom. The next day, Dana called with news. Harold filed a motion to amend Aaron's petition. He's now claiming you're mentally unfit to make decisions in Anna's best interest, citing your choice to hide her birth, lack of documented abuse, and even the fact that you kept Marcus in the dark. Jasmine felt her stomach drop. He's building a narrative. Yes, Dana said. But it's full of holes. We're ready. I just wanted to warn you it's going to get personal. It already has. Dana hesitated. There's one more thing. Aaron's legal team requested a psychological evaluation. MITRE. Jasmine closed her eyes. Of me? Yes, but also of Anna. Number absolutely not, Jasmine said, heart pounding. He doesn't get to poke around in her mind. You can oppose it, but the judge will expect a reason. She's 6. That should be reason enough. Dana paused. I'll file the objection. After she hung up, Jasmine walked into the living room, where Marcus sat reading the paper. They want to put Anna through a psych eval, she said, her voice brittle. Marcus set the paper down. Number no way. I said no. He stood. What more do they want? A blood sample? Her dreams? This is cruelty. Jasmine looked at him, eyes wet. I just want to protect her. You are, he said firmly, and I'm going to help you fight every inch of this. She nodded, then walked over and buried her face in his chest. For the first time in days, she cried, and Marcus let her. Across town, Aaron sat in a private lounge, sipping a cocktail while reviewing notes with Harold Green. She cried during the deposition? He asked, amused. Number she held her ground. Aaron's smile faded. She'll slip. Eventually, Harold shifted. You're losing the court of public opinion. And the judge is watching. This new angle, it's risky. Aaron shrugged. Sometimes fire needs fire. Or it just burns everything, Harold muttered. Aaron didn't respond. Instead, he stared out the window at the city skyline. She took my legacy, he said. Now I'll take hers. The courthouse lobby buzzed like a disturbed beehive. Reporters hovered outside, cameras poised. Inside, attorneys murmured over thick case files, and security officers stood tense near the metal detectors. Jasmine walked in with Marcus at her side, each step deliberate, as if her heels were driving stakes into the floor. Anna wasn't with them. She was at home with Mrs. Ellington, unaware that this day could decide her future. Dana met them near the courtroom doors. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Harold's filed an emergency petition, she said. They're asking the court to consider temporary custody for Aaron pending the psychological evaluation. Jasmine blinked. He hasn't even proven paternity. That's their gamble, to push you out of the picture first, then rewrite the rest. Marcus cursed under his breath. Dana handed Jasmine a copy of the filing pages thick with legalese and venom disguised as concern. Words like emotional instability, isolation tactics, and child developmental risk leapt off the paper like bullets. They're painting you as unpredictable, Dana said. We need to stay composed. Let me handle the fireworks. I'm not afraid, Jasmine said, folding the papers. I'm angry. Inside the courtroom, Judge Marlowe reviewed the emergency petition with furrowed brows. Aaron sat smugly behind his table, suit crisp, hands folded as if he were just another worried father. Mr. Green, the judge said, adjusting his glasses. This court is aware of your client's petition. However, I see no evidence submitted that would warrant removing the child from her home today. Harold stood. Your Honor, with respect, we are deeply concerned about the child's mental health. Miss Taylor has admitted to years of concealment and emotional instability. We believe a neutral environment with a biological parent may offer more stability during this transition. Dana rose before the judge could respond. Your Honor, we contest every word of that claim. Miss Taylor has raised her daughter with stability, education, love, and protection. The only destabilizing force in this child's life is the sudden reappearance of a man who's never met her. Aaron's smirk twitched. Marlowe held up a hand. Enough. This is not a trial. I'm not removing custody based on speculation. I will, however, permit the court-appointed child psychologist to conduct preliminary interviews with both parties and the child. On neutral grounds. Jasmine's jaw tightened. She'll be terrified. Marlowe looked directly at her. I understand this is difficult, Miss Taylor. But the court must act in the child's best interest. That includes hearing her voice. Jasmine swallowed the knot in her throat. Then let her speak. 2 days later, Jasmine and Marcus sat nervously in the waiting room of Dr. Elise Freeman's child psychology office. Anna sat between them, hugging her favorite stuffed dog, Barkley, dressed in a tiny knit sweater Jasmine had made last winter. Dr. Freeman, a soft-spoken black woman in her early 50s with wise eyes and gentle hands, knelt to Anna's level. Hi, Anna. I'm Dr. Freeman. I heard you like to draw. Anna peeked from behind Barkley. Sometimes. Oh, I've got crayons that sparkle, Dr. Freeman said with a smile. Anna looked up at Jasmine, who nodded reassuringly. It's okay, baby. I'll be right out here. Anna followed Dr. Freeman down the hallway, her little footsteps echoing on the polished floor. Marcus leaned in. You trust her? She's not the problem, Jasmine whispered. Inside the playroom, Dr. Freeman let Anna explore the shelves while she set up paper and crayons. After a few minutes, Anna sat and began drawing a house, a son, a little girl holding hands with a tall man. Who's this? Dr. Freeman asked. That's me, Anna said proudly. And that's Daddy Marcus. He looks strong. He is. He carries the groceries with one hand. Dr. Freeman smiled. Is there anyone else in your family? Anna paused. Mommy. And Grandma Tun. Do you know someone named Aaron? Anna's hand froze over the crayon box. He came in a car once. He said he knew Mommy. What did you think about that? Anna looked down. I didn't like his eyes. Why not? They were smiling, but his face wasn't. Dr. Freeman made a note. Did he scare you? Anna nodded. He made Mommy cry after he left. Dr. Freeman didn't ask more. She just slid over a sheet of stickers and said, Pick your favorites. Back in the car, Anna hugged Barkley to her chest. She was nice, she said. I told her the truth. Jasmine turned to look at her daughter, heart aching. That's all you ever need to do, sweetheart. Marcus started the engine. Let's get ice cream. That's what brave girls eat after big days. Anna grinned. With sprinkles? Double. The next hearing was set for the following week. Jasmine returned to Dr. Freeman's office alone to hear the psychologist's report. She's bright, emotionally intuitive, and has a strong bond with both you and Marcus, Dr. Freeman said. Did she say anything about Aaron? She expressed discomfort, wariness, but no trauma responses. She's guarded, intelligent enough to know something is wrong, but still too young to name it. Will that help in court? It should. My report will recommend no change in custody and continued therapy for transition support only. Forcing visitation with a biological stranger at this stage would be disruptive. Jasmine exhaled slowly. Thank you. Dr. Freeman placed a hand over hers. You've done more than protect her. You've taught her how to recognize danger and still speak. Meanwhile, Harold Green reviewed the report with increasing frustration. Soft language, he muttered. Too diplomatic. Aaron frowned. What about me? My interview? She said you were composed but detached. You spoke about fatherhood in theoretical terms. No emotional connection to the child. Aaron scoffed. I haven't met the kid. Harold didn't look up. And that, ironically, is part of the problem. Aaron slammed his glass onto the table. I don't lose. You're not selling software anymore, Harold said. You're trying to prove you're a father. There's a difference. At home, Jasmine sat with Marcus on the couch, flipping through a file Dana had emailed. Dr. Freeman's report. Marcus read silently, then looked up. She sees the truth. Jasmine nodded. Now we have to hope the judge does too. Marcus squeezed her hand. If not, we keep fighting. She looked down the hallway where Anna's laughter echoed from her bedroom. A blanket fort was under construction. I'm tired, Marcus, she admitted. Tired of being strong. He turned to her. Then lean on me. We'll carry this together. Outside, wind rustled through the trees. Inside, for now, the walls held strong. But the war wasn't over. It had just changed shape. The courtroom was still, unnaturally so. As the bailiff called the session to order, the air was tense, heavy with anticipation, like the silent pause before a thunderclap. It was the formal custody hearing Jasmine's first direct confrontation with Aaron since he resurfaced. Judge Marlowe entered, robes swishing, expression stern but fair. We are here to determine the best interest of the minor child, Anna Taylor. Both parties will be heard. Evidence will be reviewed. Truth will be weighed. Jasmine sat tall beside Dana. She wore a dark blue dress, simple but strong, and her hair was tied back neatly. Marcus sat behind them, silent, but his presence wrapped around Jasmine like armor. Aaron sat across the aisle, his posture confident, eyes locked forward. No smirk this time, just calculation. Harold Green stood first. Your Honor, my client, Mr. Aaron Douglas, seeks acknowledgement of his parental rights and visitation with the child he never knew existed. He was kept in the dark by Miss Taylor, who unilaterally decided to sever all contact. Mr. Douglas deserves a chance to know his daughter. Dana rose. Miss Taylor acted not out of malice, but out of fear, justified fear. Mr. Douglas has a history of emotional manipulation and coercive control. The record may lack formal charges, but we have testimony, expert psychological evaluation, and sworn affidavits that paint a clear picture of an unsafe environment. Marlowe looked between them. Proceed with witness testimony. Harold called Aaron first. He strode confidently to the stand, took the oath, and sat. Mr. Douglas, Harold began. When did you first learn you had a child? About 2 months ago, Aaron said smoothly. I was shocked, hurt, but mostly excited. I want to be a father. And prior to that, had Miss Taylor ever contacted you? Number? She vanished. No forwarding address, no phone call. I assumed she had moved on. Harold nodded. What do you want from this court? A chance to know my daughter. I don't want to erase her life. I just want to be part of it. Dana stood for cross-examination. Mr. Douglas, were you ever in a relationship with Miss Taylor that you would describe as volatile? Aaron shifted. We argued, sure, young love, but nothing out of the ordinary. No violent incidents? He shook his head. Never. Dana approached slowly. Are you aware, Miss? Taylor relocated across state lines without informing you because she feared for her safety? I can't control what someone imagines, Aaron said. Dana handed a copy of the letter to the judge. Your Honor, this was left at Miss Taylor's residence. No signature, but our client identifies the handwriting as Mr. Douglas's threatening tone, delivered weeks after initial contact. Judge Marlowe studied the paper. Aaron's jaw tightened. I never wrote that, he said. Can you confirm that under oath? Dana pressed. I just did, Aaron replied, his smile tight. Dana stepped back. No further questions. Jasmine took the stand next. She inhaled slowly as she raised her hand and swore to tell the truth. Miss Taylor, Dana began, can you tell the court why you never informed Mr. Douglas about your pregnancy? Jasmine nodded. I was 19. He was older. Controlling. At first, I mistook that for care. Then it turned dangerous. He isolated me. He watched every move. One night, after an argument, he hit the wall next to my face hard enough to crack it. I knew if I stayed, he'd hurt me, or the baby. She looked toward Judge Marlowe. I left because I was terrified, not just for me but for my daughter. I built a new life. I worked, I studied. I gave her everything I could. I never regretted protecting her. Harold stood. You made that decision alone. Without due process. I made that decision to survive. He lifted a file. You admit you never filed a police report. You never sought therapy. You never told anyone until recently. Jasmine nodded again. Because I was trained to believe silence was safer. I was wrong. Silence only made him louder. Were you aware Mr. Douglas had rights? I was aware he had power. And I knew what he did with it. Harold turned to the judge. Your Honor, we can't base rulings on feelings. Dana stood quickly. And we can't ignore them either. Dr. Freeman was next to testify. Based on your assessment, Judge Marlowe asked, is Mr. Douglas fit to have shared custody at this time? No. Dr. Freeman said clearly. There is no established relationship between him and the child. Reintroduction, if any, must be gradual and therapeutically supported. And Miss Taylor? She provides a consistent, nurturing, and emotionally safe environment. The child is bonded with both Miss Taylor and her co-parent, Mr. Marcus Hill. Harold narrowed his eyes. Would you say, Miss Taylor's decision to keep the child a secret is psychologically damaging? Dr. Freeman turned to him. In my professional opinion, the damage would have been greater had she not. The child shows no signs of neglect or trauma. On the contrary, she exhibits resilience, empathy, and trust. Dana smiled faintly. No further questions. The final word came from the judge. I've reviewed testimony, documentation, and evaluations. It is the court's responsibility to protect the child's best interest, not the comfort or ego of the adults involved. He looked at Aaron. You have not demonstrated a capacity for safe parenting, nor a sincere effort to understand this child's world. Custody is denied. Aaron's lips parted slightly, stunned. Judge Marlowe turned to Jasmine. Miss Taylor will retain full custody. Any future petition for visitation must be filed with supporting evidence of psychological counseling and parental education. He rapped the gavel. Court adjourned. Outside, cameras flashed. Jasmine held Marcus's hand tightly as they passed reporters. Miss Taylor, any comment on today's ruling? One shouted. She paused, looked at Marcus, then faced the camera. For 6 years, my only job was to protect my daughter. Today, the court protected her too. Then she walked away, head high. Later that night, Jasmine tucked Anna into bed. The girl yawned. Half asleep already. Mommy? She whispered. Yes, baby? That man? He's not coming back? Jasmine kissed her forehead. Not unless you want him to. Anna smiled sleepily. I just want you and Daddy Marcus. Then that's exactly what you'll have. Outside, thunder rolled far in the distance. But in their house, the storm had passed. The days that followed the court ruling were quiet, almost too quiet. No knocks at the door, no envelopes on the porch, no sudden phone calls from Dana. For the first time in months, Jasmine woke up without the weight of dread pressing on her chest. But the silence didn't feel like peace. It felt like something waiting. At night, she sometimes found herself watching the street from behind the curtains, checking for unfamiliar cars, scanning the shadows. Aaron had lost in court, but men like Aaron didn't disappear. They regrouped, they plotted, they waited for the next opening. Marcus noticed too. One evening, after putting Anna to bed, he stood in the doorway of the living room, arms crossed. You keep checking the front door. Jasmine looked up from the couch. I know. It's a habit. It's not a habit, he said. It's intuition. She nodded. He's not finished. Marcus sat beside her. Then we won't be either. 3 days later, Dana called. Don't panic, she began, which of course made Jasmine's stomach twist. He filed something new? Jasmine asked, already reaching for a pen. No, Dana replied. Worse. He's gone off the grid. Jasmine paused. What does that mean? His lawyer filed a motion to withdraw. Aaron hasn't responded to any of Harold's calls or emails. No activity on his accounts. He's shut off his phone. No one knows where he is. Marcus leaned in to hear. Jasmine put the call on speaker. So he's hiding? Marcus asked. Or planning something, Dana said. Stay alert, and call me if anything, even small, feels wrong. Jasmine's voice was calm. We already are. That night, Anna had a nightmare. Jasmine woke to the sound of soft crying down the hall. She rushed to Anna's room and found her curled up, hugging Barkley tight, face buried in the blanket. Sweetheart? Jasmine knelt beside the bed. I dreamed he came through the window, Anna whispered. He had no eyes. Jasmine pulled her into her arms. It was just a dream. You're safe. Nothing can get to you here, Anna sniffled. But I could feel him. He was mad. Jasmine held her tighter. Even if he's mad, he can't touch you. Not while I'm here. Not while Daddy Marcus is here too. Exactly. Anna nodded, eyes finally closing again. But Jasmine stayed beside her until dawn, watching the window. 2 days later, a package arrived with no return address. It was left at the doorstep sometime after midnight, no sound, no knock. Jasmine found it in the morning, wrapped in plain brown paper. Inside was a single object, a framed photo. Jasmine froze. It was a picture of her and Marcus and Anna, taken weeks ago at the farmer's market. She recognized Anna's straw hat, the bag of apples, Marcus's arm around her shoulder. On the back of the frame was a note, printed in block letters. The court isn't the only judge. Jasmine's hands trembled. Marcus took the frame and set it aside, then immediately grabbed his phone and called the police. An officer arrived within the hour. He took statements, photographed the package, and told them he'd add it to the report. But there was little they could do. No law's been broken. Technically, the officer said with a shrug. But we'll patrol the area more. Jasmine bit back her frustration. So we just wait until he crosses the line? The officer didn't answer. After he left, Marcus installed a new security system, cameras, motion lights, reinforced locks. He didn't ask permission. Jasmine didn't object. That night, they both slept in shifts. Days passed. No more notes, no packages, but the fear remained. Jasmine took a new route home from work every evening. Marcus picked Anna up from school, never letting her walk even a few feet alone. The house remained calm on the surface, but every knock made them flinch. Every shadow stretched longer. One evening, Jasmine stepped out back to bring in laundry and found a small metal object lying near the fence. She bent to pick it up. It was a zip drive. She called Marcus, who connected it to a spare laptop, disconnected from Wi-Fi. A single video file appeared, labeled simply, "Watch." Jasmine sat beside him as he clicked it open. The screen showed grainy footage, security cam style, taken from what looked like a hotel hallway. The angle faced a room door. A few seconds in, Aaron stepped into frame. He looked around, then slipped a keycard into the door. He entered without knocking. Seconds later, muffled shouting. A woman screamed, a thud. Then silence. Jasmine's blood ran cold. "Is that?" she whispered. Marcus leaned forward. "That's not here. That's from somewhere else. But someone wanted us to see it." Jasmine stared at the screen, heart hammering. Someone wants us to know who he really is. The next morning, Jasmine delivered the drive to Dana's office. Dana watched the footage in silence. When it ended, she looked up. "This isn't just a threat. It's a trail. Do you recognize the place?" Marcus asked. Dana nodded. "It's a business hotel in Phoenix. I've stayed there before. Can we track the victim?" "I'll call a contact," Dana said. "If this is what it looks like, Aaron's not just running. He's hiding from more than us." Jasmine felt it then, not just fear, but clarity. Aaron hadn't vanished because he was licking wounds. He was spiraling. And someone else, someone unknown, had sent that video, which meant there were other eyes on him now, and not all of them were friendly. That night, Jasmine sat on the porch alone. The stars were clear, the air sharp. Every light on the property was turned on. Marcus and Anna were inside, reading. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "I'm not scared of you anymore." A breeze rustled the trees in reply. She knew it wasn't over, but for the first time, She also knew she wasn't alone. The sun was still low when Jasmine pulled into the parking lot of the small cafe on the edge of downtown Phoenix. The streets shimmered with heat, even in the early morning, and a dusty breeze blew through the open lot. Jasmine spotted Dana already waiting outside, leaning against her rental car, sunglasses shielding her expression. "She's inside," Dana said quietly. "Corner table. I've already bought us an hour." Jasmine followed her through the door, heart thudding. The cafe smelled of cinnamon and old wood. At the corner, a woman sat alone, back straight, hands clasped around a coffee mug. She looked up as they approached. "Elena?" Dana said. The woman nodded. Elena was in her mid-30s, with auburn hair pulled into a low bun, and pale skin marked by faint scars that told stories without words. Her eyes wide, wary, but alert locked with Jasmine's. "You're the one from Kansas City," Elena said. "The one with the daughter." Jasmine took the seat across from her. "Yes, I'm Jasmine." Elena offered a thin, knowing smile. "He said you were a ghost." "Guess not." For a moment, no one spoke. Just the low hum of coffee machines and clinking silverware. Dana leaned in. "Elena, thank you for agreeing to meet. We saw the footage. The hotel. You were there?" Elena nodded, slowly. "That was the last night. After I told him I was done, that I'd spoken to a lawyer." Jasmine swallowed. "What did he do?" Elena stared down at her mug. "He pushed me. Cornered me in the room. Threatened to ruin me if I ever went public. But he didn't know I'd been recording for weeks. I left the camera outside the room on purpose. That's what you saw." "You sent it," Jasmine said. Elena met her gaze. "He always thought he was the smartest person in the room. I wanted him to know he wasn't. That someone was watching." Dana exhaled. "Why now?" "Because he lost in court," Elena replied. "Which means he's dangerous. Cornered. When men like Aaron feel powerless, they become nuclear." Jasmine clenched her fists beneath the table. "He's already started circling us again. Dropped a photo on our porch. Left a threat." Elena's jaw tightened. "That sounds like him. The psychological games make you question your own safety. Your mind. We need to stop him," Jasmine said. "Really stop him." Elena looked between them. "Then you'll need more than what I gave you." "I kept copies. Texts. Voicemails. A journal. He was trying to fund some kind of offshore account. I think he was preparing to disappear." Dana's brows rose. "Do you have those files?" "At home, I didn't trust the cloud." Jasmine leaned forward. "Can we come with you?" Elena nodded. "Let's go now." "Before I change my mind." Elena's apartment was modest, tucked behind a rusting gate in a quiet part of town. She led them inside, past plants that drooped in desert heat, and a cat who watched them with sleepy suspicion. The evidence was stored in a fireproof box beneath her bed. She pulled it out and laid its contents across the kitchen table: USB drives, handwritten notes, old phones. Jasmine picked up one of the journals, thumbing through page after page of Aaron's name, followed by fragmented entries: control, rage, silence, smile hides knives. Dana slipped on gloves and began photographing everything. "This is gold," she whispered. "Enough to open a new case. Not just family court, criminal court." Elena watched silently. "It took me years to admit I was a victim. Years more to admit I still am." "You're not," Jasmine said, meeting her eyes. "Not anymore. You're part of the reason he won't get away with this." Vlh. They packed the evidence into 2 bags and left by mid-afternoon, exchanging contact information and promising to keep each other updated. Jasmine hugged Elena tightly before leaving. "Be careful," Elena warned. "He doesn't go quietly." "I'm not quiet either," Jasmine said. On the drive back, Dana made calls to her law office and a private investigator she trusted. Jasmine stared out the window as the desert passed by in waves of orange and gold. "Do you think it'll be enough?" she asked. Dana lowered her phone. "If what's on those drives is what I think, yes. We'll reopen everything. The court, the police, maybe even the FBI." Jasmine nodded slowly. "It's time he sees what real fear feels like." 2 days later, They met with a detective from the Special Victims Unit in Kansas City. Detective Renee Marshall, a tall black woman with a clipped tone and sharp eyes, flipped through the evidence silently. After 30 minutes, she leaned back. This is more than enough to open a criminal investigation into Aaron Douglas. Possibly wire fraud, stalking, assault, coercion, maybe more. Marcus sat beside Jasmine, one hand on her knee. Will he be arrested? We'll issue a warrant, Renee said. If he's in the country, we'll find him. Jasmine looked down at her hands. What if he's not? Then we involve federal authorities, Renee said. Men like this always leave footprints. Dana stood. We'll keep pressing. If he runs, it proves guilt. If he fights, we're ready. Renee nodded. One more thing, you should be prepared. People like Aaron sometimes try to turn victims into suspects. Jasmine straightened. Let him try. That night, Jasmine found Anna sitting on the porch swing, Barkley tucked under her arm. Mommy, Anna said, are we still safe? Jasmine sat beside her. We are. Even safer now. Anna looked up. Did you find the bad man? Jasmine brushed a curl from her daughter's cheek. We found someone he hurt. And now we're helping her too. Anna hugged Barkley tighter. Are there more people like her? Yes, Jasmine whispered. But fewer, every day. They sat in silence, as the swing creaked softly and fireflies blinked in the grass. Across the state line, Aaron stood at a truck stop in Oklahoma, beard grown out. Wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap pulled low. He watched the news on a muted television in the corner, stock photos of his face beside a headline. Former tech executive wanted in connection with domestic assault investigation. He turned away and disappeared into the restroom. When he emerged, he'd shaved, changed clothes, and left out the back. This wasn't over, but now, the hunt had begun. The Kansas City Police Department's operations center buzzed with controlled chaos. Maps were pinned with colored markers, screens streamed security footage, and whiteboards bore Aaron Douglas's name in bold black marker, underlined twice. At the center of it all stood Detective Renee Marshall, issuing orders with quiet authority. Jasmine, Dana, and Marcus sat nearby, observing the storm unfolding around them. He's clever, Renee said, pointing to a map. Everywhere he's been tracked, he paid in cash, no phones, never stays more than one night. We believe he's using trucking routes to move state to state. So how do we stop someone who's moving constantly? Jasmine asked. Her voice calm but tight. We set a trap, Renee said. But we need bait. Dana looked over. What are you suggesting? Renee turned to Jasmine. He's still watching you. Whether physically or through someone else. He's monitoring your life. We need to give him something to react to. Jasmine's stomach churned. You want me to lure him out? We'll control everything, Renee assured her. But yes, we want to draw him into a location of our choosing. Somewhere safe, under surveillance. If we can get him to break cover, we can get him. Marcus leaned forward. You're asking my family to be live bait. We're asking for your cooperation, Renee said. Not your sacrifice. There will be officers, snipers, and a full perimeter. Jasmine will never be out of sight. Jasmine nodded slowly. I'll do it. But on one condition. Renee raised an eyebrow. Which is, I'm the one who speaks to him. I end it. Face to face. The plan was set within 48 hours. Jasmine would make a public appearance at a charity fundraiser held at a local museum, an event she was already scheduled to attend for work. Press would be there. Security would appear casual, but was deeply embedded. Marcus and Anna would remain safely off-site under police protection. We're giving him something irresistible, Dana explained as she adjusted Jasmine's jacket in the museum's private dressing room. Public attention, low visibility, security, and the illusion that you're unguarded. Jasmine glanced at herself in the mirror, composed, elegant, and resolute. And if he doesn't show, then we repeat, Dana said, until he breaks. But tonight feels right, Jasmine said. Like the air is holding its breath. The fundraiser was a blur of clinking glasses, polite applause, and speeches Jasmine barely registered. She moved through the crowd like a ghost in silk, nodding, smiling, always aware of the cameras. But her eyes kept drifting to the exits, the corners, the balcony, and then she saw him. He was dressed like a waiter, white shirt, black vest, hair slicked back. He didn't approach, just watched. His face was calm, but his eyes, those cold, calculating eyes, they locked with hers. Jasmine didn't break. She gave a soft smile, excused herself from her conversation, and walked slowly toward the side exit near the sculpture garden. She felt his presence behind her, shadowing her steps, and she knew this was it. Outside, the air was cool. The garden was empty, save for a few decorative lights and the rustle of leaves. Jasmine stopped near a stone bench, turned, and faced him. Aaron. He stepped forward, hands out, mockingly gentle. Jasmine, you look beautiful, just like I remember. You shouldn't be here, she said. I couldn't stay away. You know that. Why now? He tilted his head. Because it's not over. You tried to erase me, humiliate me in court. But you forgot who I am. No, she said. I remembered exactly who you are. That's why I left. His expression twisted. You poisoned her against me. She doesn't know you, and after tonight, she never will. He stepped closer. You're not protected here. Not really. Wrong, said a voice behind him. Aaron froze. Detective Renee Marshall emerged from the shadows, gun drawn. Red dots from laser sights danced across his chest. Officers swarmed in from every angle. Aaron raised his hands slowly, fury boiling beneath his fake composure. You think this changes anything? You're under arrest, Renee said, for assault, stalking, and multiple federal charges. Cuffs snapped around his wrists. He looked at Jasmine as they pulled him away. This isn't justice, he hissed. This is betrayal. No, Jasmine replied, voice steady. This is consequence. Back at the precinct, Jasmine watched through the one-way glass as Aaron sat in the interrogation room, silent, staring at the floor. The mask was gone. No more charming smiles or arrogant flair, just a man undone by his own darkness. Dana stood beside her. They'll transfer him to federal custody within the week. There's more than enough to hold him without bail. Jasmine nodded. Is it over? Dana hesitated. It's ending. Slowly, legally. But emotionally? That may take time. Jasmine let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. That's okay. I can wait. At home, Anna ran into Jasmine's arms the moment she stepped inside. Barkley bounced to the floor as they hugged tightly. Did you fight the monster? Anna whispered. Jasmine smiled through her tears. Yes. And he won't come back. Anna nodded and pressed her cheek to Jasmine's chest. Good. We don't like monsters. Marcus joined them, wrapping his arms around both. Welcome home, he said softly. I never left, Jasmine replied. That night, Jasmine sat on the porch alone, gazing up at the stars. The air was still, the shadows quiet. And for the first time in a long time, her mind wasn't racing. A breeze touched her cheek like a whisper. She closed her eyes and breathed deep. Freedom didn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes, it arrived in silence. The morning after Aaron's arrest dawned quietly, without alarms or dread. For the first time in years, Jasmine awoke not from fear but from sunlight gently spilling across her bed. She lay still, letting the moment wrap around her like a warm blanket. There was no knock at the door, no phone call to dread, no shadow lurking behind her thoughts. Just Marcus snoring softly beside her, and the distant clatter of Anna playing with her toys in the living room. She smiled. It felt foreign, but not uncomfortable. Downstairs, Anna had built a tower of blocks taller than Barkley, who sat obediently, as a guard dog. Mommy! Anna called out when Jasmine appeared at the top of the stairs. He's not coming back, right? Jasmine nodded, her voice warm but firm. No, baby. He's not. Anna grinned and added another block to the tower. Then I'm building my castle. With big walls and flowers. For princesses who win, Jasmine chuckled, tears forming in her eyes. That's my girl. Later that week, Dana visited the house with coffee and a worn-out file folder under her arm. Jasmine welcomed her in, noting how Dana's usual razor-sharp demeanor had softened slightly. "The charges are sticking," Dana said, settling onto the couch. "Multiple states are involved now. Wire fraud, stalking, breaking and entering, psychological abuse, the works." Jasmine nodded slowly. "And the woman in Phoenix?" "Elena's cooperating fully. Her testimony alone is enough to bury him." Jasmine exhaled. "So, what happens next?" "Court dates, statements, depositions. But Jasmine, you don't have to testify unless you choose to. They've got enough without forcing you into that room again." Jasmine shook her head. "Number, I'll testify. Not because I want to relive it, but because I want to finish it. On my terms." Dana studied her. "You've changed." "I've reclaimed myself," Jasmine said. At the end of the month, Jasmine met Elena in person again, this time not in secrecy, but over tea in a quiet corner cafe. Elena looked healthier. She'd cut her hair, wore bold lipstick, and carried herself like someone no longer hiding. "You look good," Jasmine said. "So do you," Elena replied. "You seem taller." "I think fear was weighing me down." They sipped tea and talked about court, childhood, healing. It wasn't just about Aaron anymore. It was about rediscovering themselves outside his shadow. "I've been thinking," Jasmine said. "We should start something." "Like what?" "A foundation. For women like us, a hotline, safe housing, legal aid. Maybe even workshops for children dealing with trauma." Elena's eyes lit up. "You're serious?" "As serious as the scar he left on my soul." Elena smiled. "Let's do it." That evening, Jasmine shared the idea with Marcus. "I want to help other women, other girls, before they reach the point I did." Marcus took her hand. "I'll help in any way I can." "I know," she said. "But it has to be mine. Not just something I support, something I build." "You've already built more than you know," he said. "You've built a life out of broken pieces. You've turned pain into power." She leaned into him. "I'm just getting started." Word about the foundation spread quickly. Within weeks, Jasmine had organized a small but passionate team of volunteers, survivors, therapists, legal professionals, and community leaders. They met every Thursday evening in the basement of a local church, planning workshops, designing resource kits, and structuring support networks. The name came from Anna. During dinner one night, she looked up and said, "You should call it the Brave House. Because we're brave and it's our house." Jasmine and Marcus looked at each other, and just like that, it was decided. The Brave House opened its doors officially 6 weeks later. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was small but powerful. Jasmine gave a short speech, steady, clear, and full of hope. "This isn't a place for victims," she said. "It's a place for rebuilding, for reclaiming, for breathing again." The audience applauded, many with tears in their eyes. Elena stood near the back, hand over her heart. Afterward, a woman approached Jasmine, holding the hand of a teenage girl. "My daughter. She's been struggling after what her stepfather did." The woman whispered. "Your story gave her the courage to speak up." Jasmine knelt to meet the girl's eyes. "You're stronger than you know. And you're not alone anymore." The girl nodded, lip trembling. "Thank you." Jasmine hugged her. "Welcome to the Brave House." Oh, one evening, as Jasmine closed up the center, she found a folded note slid under the door. No threats, no venom. Just 6 words written in soft cursive. "I'm proud of the woman you are." There was no name. But Jasmine didn't need one. Back home, she curled up on the porch swing with Anna in her lap, Barkley at their feet. The stars blinked overhead, quiet and knowing. "Mommy," Anna said sleepily. "When I grow up, I want to help people too." "You already do," Jasmine whispered. Anna yawned. "Good. Then I'll be the queen of the Brave House." Jasmine smiled. "You already are." The breeze rustled the wind chimes gently, and for the first time in years, Jasmine didn't brace for what might come next. She simply breathed, and it was enough. Spring had settled gently over Kansas City. The streets buzzed with life again, fairs in the park. Children on bicycles, neighbors tending to gardens. At the Brave House, fresh flowers sat in vases along the windowsills, and warm sunlight spilled across the conference room floor. Jasmine stood near the doorway, clipboard in hand, checking the schedule for the new trauma recovery workshop that was starting that afternoon. Everything felt alive again, not just the building but Jasmine herself. Miss Jasmine, called Mia, one of the teenage volunteers, poking her head in. There's someone here to see you. He didn't say his name. Jasmine's stomach tightened slightly. Where is he? In the front, Mia said. He looks old and nervous. Jasmine set the clipboard down and walked out, heart beating a little faster than she'd like. She'd learned by now that peace could be deceptive. That sometimes the past didn't knock, it just walked right in. When she turned the corner, a man stood in the lobby with his hat held in both hands. He was in his late 60s, thin, with deep lines carved into his face and eyes that had seen too much. When he looked up, Jasmine's breath caught. James, she whispered. He nodded. Hi, Jas. I wasn't sure you'd recognize me. Jasmine blinked. It's been nearly 30 years. I know, he said. That's why I came. James Douglas, Aaron's father. The last time Jasmine had seen him was at their wedding. After that, he vanished. Just like Aaron's mother had before him, stories floated around drinking, running from debts, a man who couldn't hold his family together. I didn't come to defend him, James said quickly. God knows I failed at being a father. Failed him. Failed you. But I read the article about what he did. I needed to come. Jasmine crossed her arms. Why now? James looked down at his hands. Because I saw what you've built. Because I'm dying. Stage 4 lung cancer. I don't want to leave this world with this silence between us. I didn't raise a monster. But I didn't stop him from becoming one either. Jasmine studied him. You weren't there. I know, and maybe that makes me a coward. He paused. But Jasmine, was there ever any good in him? When you first met him? She didn't answer immediately. Her memory sifted through years, trying to find a moment untouched by control or cruelty. He was charming, she said finally. Funny. The kind of man who made you believe you were safe just because he was near, but there were cracks, even then. I just didn't want to see them. James nodded slowly. He got that from me. The charm, the lies, and the damage. Do you want to see Anna? Jasmine asked suddenly. His eyes widened. I didn't expect. She doesn't know who you are. I'd introduce you as a visitor. One time only. If she chooses to ask questions when she's older, that'll be her decision. James's voice cracked. That would mean more than you know. Jasmine nodded once. Then come back tomorrow. 2:00. Bring something honest. Not to win her over. Just to be real. He nodded. I will. That evening, Jasmine sat with Marcus on the back porch, the golden sunset casting long shadows across their yard. James showed up today, she said. Marcus looked over sharply. James Douglas? She nodded. He's dying. Wanted to say something, maybe apologize. And you let him? I didn't hug him, but I didn't throw him out either. Marcus exhaled slowly. You think it'll help? I don't know, Jasmine admitted. But I think it might help Anna someday. To know that not everyone in Aaron's bloodline disappeared. Marcus took her hand. Then I trust your decision. Jasmine leaned her head on his shoulder. You always do. The next day, James returned just before 2, carrying a worn paperback copy of Charlotte's Web and a small bag of licorice. Jasmine met him at the door and guided him to the reading nook where Anna and 2 other children were building puzzles. This is Mr. James, Jasmine said gently. He's here to read to you today. Anna looked up, curious. Hi. James crouched awkwardly. Hi. Sweetheart. Mind if I read you a story? Anna nodded, scooting over to make space. He began reading, his voice rough but kind, pausing for dramatic effect, and chuckling at the right parts. Jasmine watched from the doorway. Arms crossed. Heart heavy but soft. For a moment, James looked like someone who could have been a grandfather. Someone who might have been kind. A man chasing redemption, even if it came too late. After the story, James handed Anna the bag of licorice. This was my favorite when I was your age. Anna grinned. It's mine too. He smiled. Good taste runs in the family. He caught himself and looked at Jasmine, silently asking if he'd crossed a line. She didn't speak, just gave a small nod. James stood. Thank you for letting me visit. Jasmine walked him to the door. Do you have family? A sister in Detroit, he said, but no one waiting at home. Then take care of yourself. And if you don't make it to Christmas, leave something for her. A letter. A story. Something that's yours, but kind. James nodded, tears in his eyes. I will. Oh, that night, Jasmine found herself at her old bookshelf, pulling down a journal she hadn't opened in years. It held pages from the first days after she left. Aaron scribbled fears, raw memories, plans never followed through. But it also held this. Someday, I'll breathe again. Not because the world let me, but because I made it happen. For me, for her. She closed the book and smiled. The past could visit. It could even sit in her living room and read a story, but it didn't live here anymore. The courtroom was smaller than Jasmine expected, nothing like the grand spaces in television dramas. It was practical. Fluorescent lit. Almost plain. But today, it felt sacred, not because of its appearance, but because of what it represented. Justice. Jasmine sat in the second row, just behind the prosecution team, her hands folded in her lap. To her right sat Dana, to her left, Marcus, and behind her, Elena, two women from the Brave House. And even Detective Renee Marshall. Off duty but present. A quiet army of witnesses. Not to the crime, but to Jasmine's strength. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Aaron Douglas was led into the room in handcuffs and a beige jumpsuit, flanked by U.S. Marshals. His hair was shorter, his face pale, no smirk, no swagger, just silence. Jasmine didn't flinch. The trial itself was quick, thanks to overwhelming evidence, Elena's testimony, Jasmine's recordings, financial records, and a documented history of abuse. The defense offered a plea deal. Aaron would plead guilty to multiple counts: stalking across state lines, aggravated assault, financial fraud. In exchange, he'd avoid trial but faced 25 years in federal prison, no chance of parole for at least 15. The judge accepted the plea. Then, he asked if anyone wished to make a victim impact statement. Jasmine stood. The courtroom hushed. She walked to the podium, calm but resolute. Her voice was even, clear, and unshaking. Your Honor, she began. This man behind me did more than bruise skin or drain bank accounts. He stole time. He made fear a language I spoke daily. He made my daughter flinch at shadows and my sleep a battlefield. But today, I speak not from a place of brokenness, but of survival. She turned briefly toward Aaron. I do not forgive you, but I release you. You no longer get to live in my head, in my house, or in my bones. Your story ends here. Mine begins again. She looked back to the judge. I ask that justice be carried out not for revenge, but so no other woman has to endure what we did. Let this sentence speak louder than his charm ever could. When she returned to her seat, no one clapped, but every heart beat a little louder. The gavel came down. Aaron was sentenced, and Jasmine finally exhaled. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered in clusters. Jasmine gave a short statement. Justice is never loud. Sometimes, it's just steady. But when it comes, you feel it in your bones. She declined interviews. This wasn't about fame. It was about closure. Weeks passed. Then months. Summer faded into fall, and the Brave House expanded new volunteers, a second location opening in St. Louis, and a grant from a local foundation. Jasmine became more than a founder. She was a symbol, a survivor turned leader. She gave talks at churches and colleges, met with legislators about domestic abuse policy, and on Thursday nights, still sat with the kids during story hour. Anna, now 7, had blossomed. Therapy had helped, but so had the honesty of her mother's voice, never sugarcoating the past, but never letting it define them either. One morning as they walked to the bus stop, Anna said, Mommy, do monsters go to jail? Jasmine squeezed her hand. The worst ones do. And do they stay there forever? Long enough for us to be okay. Jasmine answered. Long enough for us to forget their names. If we want to. Anna nodded solemnly. Okay, then I'm not afraid. On the first anniversary of the Brave House's opening, the building was lit with lanterns along the walkway. Survivors wrote their names on slips of paper and tucked them into the branches of a white tree planted near the door. Jasmine added hers last, not just her name, but her daughter's. As she stepped back, Elena approached with a manila envelope. You'll want to see this, she said. Inside was a letter. From James Douglas. He had passed quietly 2 weeks earlier in hospice care. The letter, handwritten, was addressed to Jasmine and Anna. Dear Jasmine, I won't pretend I did right by you. I won't excuse what my son did. But I want you to know. Your courage gave me peace in my final days. And your daughter, she gave me hope. Enclosed is a trust I arranged through my sister. Not much, but perhaps enough to help her one day. College, or a dream, something pure. You rebuilt what I destroyed. Thank you for letting me see that before the end. James. Jasmine's hand trembled, but she smiled. Forgiveness didn't always look like open arms. Sometimes, it looked like letting go. Later that night, after the celebration had ended, Jasmine stood alone in the empty hall, turning off lights. The last switch flicked down, and darkness embraced the room until moonlight streamed through the stained glass window, casting gentle color on the floor. She stood in it for a long time. Then, from the quiet, came Marcus's voice behind her. You ready to go home? She turned. I am home. He reached out, took her hand, and they walked together into the night. No sirens, no shadows, just peace. This story teaches us that justice is not always loud or immediate. It often moves quietly, through persistence, courage, and truth. Jasmine's journey shows that healing from abuse takes more than time. It takes community, honesty, and the bravery to confront the past without letting it define the future. Even in the face of betrayal and fear, it is possible to rebuild, to protect what matters most, and to transform pain into purpose. In the end, true strength lies not in revenge, but in reclaiming peace.